Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Monarch deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that I've included all sorts of spicy tech cards in this build for you guys. This deck can completely control the board, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description for any single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Erebus. Erebus is definitely a 3-of in the build and actually our main boss monster for the deck. This card has the ability that you can actually tribute summon this card by tributing 1 tribute summoned monster, and if this card is tribute summoned, you can actually send 2 Monarch spells or trap cards with different names from your hand and or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, shuffle a card from your opponent's hand at random, graveyard, or their side of the field into the deck, which is an awesome ability to summon this card out during the first turn to basically get rid of a card out of your opponent's hand. Also, once per turn, during either player's main phase, if this card's in your graveyard, you can discard a Monarch spell or trap, target 1 monster in your graveyard with 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense and add it to your hand. We then play just 2 copies of Ether. Ether is really good in the deck, but I feel like 2 copies is all you need for this build. You can actually tribute summon this card by tributing 1 tribute summoned monster, and if this card is tribute summoned, you can actually send 2 Monarch spells or trap cards with different names from your hand and or deck to the graveyard. If you do, special summon a monster with 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense from your deck, but return it back to the hand during the end phase and also during your opponent's main phase. If this card's in the hand, you can actually banish a Monarch spell or trap from the graveyard, and immediately this effect resolves, tribute summon this card, which is a quick effect, which is awesome to instantly get this card out of your side of the field and kind of sort of disrupt your opponent's plays, which is really nice to be able to do. But again, I feel like 2 copies is really all you need. We then play 3 copies of Majesty's Fiend. Majesty's Fiend is such a powerful summon in this deck. This card is a super simple effect that it cannot be special summoned, but neither player can activate monster effects. This card actually comes out with 2400 attack points and 1000 defense points, having Monarch stats to basically summon this card out to your side of the field to make it so neither player can activate monster effects anywhere. It's not just the field, it's in the graveyard, it's in the deck, it's anywhere. Neither player can activate monster effects anywhere, making this one of the most powerful tribute summons in the entire game. We then play 3 copies of Vanity's Fiend. Vanity's Fiend is definitely a 3-of as well in the deck. The only downside, this card has 200 more defense points than it should. This card has the ability it cannot be special summoned, but neither player can special summon monsters, which is a great effect. We'll just instantly summon this card out to your side of the field and lock down your opponent, so they just cannot summon by special summoning. We only normal summon in this deck, so this card is really good in the deck to basically just lock down the opponent, and it's just really awesome in this build to basically lock down the opponent so they can't special summon. We do have a couple of cards in the deck that special summon, but you have to have no monsters on the field to be able to special summon, so this card is really important for the deck to be able to just tribute summon this card out to the field and lock down the opponent. But usually you want to establish a copy of Majesty's Fiend to make it so they can't activate monster effects. We then play 3 copies of Kashtira Unicorn. Kashtira Unicorn is amazing in the deck as a 3-of because this card is a crazy powerful effect that if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from the hand, and during your main phase, you can add a Kashtira spell from your deck to your hand, and also when an attack is declared, or if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can actually look at your opponent's extract, and if you do, banish a monster from it face down, which is such a powerful ability. This card is awesome in the deck because it can special summon itself out to your side of the field, search a copy of Kashtira Birth directly from your deck to your hand, tribute out one of your monsters like your copy of your Vanity's Fiend or Majesty's Fiend by tributing your copy of Unicorn, activate Birth, and just bring it back to your side of the field. If you summon out Majesty's Fiend to your side of the field, because you can bring it back to your side of the field, which is absolutely amazing, giving you a 2500 attack point monster on the field plus a copy of Majesty's Fiend. You can't bring it back if you summon out your copy of Vanity's Fiend because it makes it so neither player can special summon, but the Kashtira cards work so well in the deck to basically just special summon themselves out to your side of the field, give you a search, and then you just tribute summon them away to summon out one of your main boss monsters, which is awesome. Plus, if your opponent locks you down where you can only summon your Kashtira monsters, it's very easy to go in for game with the Kashtira cards because of how powerful they are. We then play 3 copies of Fenrir. Fenrir is definitely a 3 of as well in the deck. This card is a crazy powerful effect that if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can search another cast hero monster once per turn from your deck to your hand. And also when this card declares an attack, or if an opponent activates a monster effect, you can actually target a face card your opponent controls and banish it face down, helping you spot remove cards off the field, which is awesome. We play a single copy of Cast Hero Ogre. Cast Hero Ogre is just awesome as a 1 of in the build, as this card actually has Monarch stats, which is really hilarious. This card has 2800 attack and 1000 defense, which is the same as your copy of your Erebus and your Aether, which is amazing. This card actually does have Monarch stats, so it works with a bunch of our different spells and traps. So you can search this card off of Fenrir just in case you need a 2800 attack, 1000 defense monster to resolve any of your different effects. Plus, it's a free special summon, and it also has a really cool ability that you can basically excavate the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and banish one excavated card face down, and then place the rest on the top of the deck in any order when they activate a monster effect or this card declares an attack, which is awesome. We then play 3 copies of the Pendulum Monster, let you draw 1. This card is really interesting for the build as a 3-up. This card is the ability, if you have no cards in your extract except other copies of this card, you can destroy this card and then draw a card. It cannot be normal summon or set. It must be special summon from your face up from your extract, by having no cards in your extract except a copy of this card. And you can only special summon this card once per turn this way. And if this card is face up in the monster zone, leaves the field, you banish it instead. So basically you activate this card in your scale, pop it, draw a card, and then special summon it to your side of the field, which is pretty easy to do. And then it banishes itself, so it doesn't go to the extract, but for that brief instant that is in the extract, it does turn off a couple of your cards, so you have to watch out for that to be able to just instantly get this card out to your side of the field. And make sure you do not try and resolve this card's effect when you do have a monster on your side of the field that will not let you special summon. So be careful of that when you have cards like your Vanity's Fiend on your side of the field. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is very important in the deck as a 1-up to help you search out your copy of your field spell, which is really important to get to your copy of Domain. We then play a single copy of March of the Monarch. March of the Monarchs is really good because tribute summon monsters you control cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, but you cannot special summon monsters from the extract, which is a pretty cool effect just to give you a little bit of protection. We then play a single copy of Return of the Monarchs. This card is great to help you search out the exact card that you need, because when you tribute summon out a monster to your side of the field, this card has the ability, when you tribute summon a monster, you can activate one of these effects to add a monster from your deck to your hand with 2400 attack and 1000 defense with a different name from the tribute summoned monster, or add from your deck to your hand a monster with 2800 attack and 1000 defense with a different name from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect because you can actually search out your copy of Cast Hero Ogre off this card's effect, which is really wild, and I love that about this card. We then play a single copy of Cast Hero Theosis. Theosis is great in the deck as 1-of, because if you summon out a Cast Hero monster your side of the field, like a copy of Unicorn, you can actually target your copy of Unicorn and then special summon out a copy of Fenrir or Ogre directly from your deck, which is amazing because your copy of your Unicorn will actually search this card from your deck to your hand. We then play 2 copies of Cast Hero Birth. Cast Hero Birth is really good in the deck as a 2-up to instantly get you a copy of your Cast Hero monster on your side of the field. And this card kind of helps you work around your copy of your Vanity's Fiend, as this card is the ability you can normal summon a level 7 monster without tributing, meaning you can just instantly normal summon them out to your side of the field and you don't have to tribute summon, which is why I play 2 copies of this card in the deck to be able to basically draw into it. Also, during your main phase, you can special summon one of your non-XZ Cast Hero monsters that's banished or in your graveyard, which is an awesome effect to instantly tribute one of your Cast Hero monsters to summon out another boss monster, and then use this card to bring that Cast Hero monster back. So it's like you just normal summoned out the monster that you wanted, while also getting a Cast Hero monster out on the field, which is really nice. Again, the only downside of this card is you have to watch out for your copy of Vanity's Fiend, because it will block you from special summoning, but it's still really good in the deck overall. And also, if your opponent activates a spell card or effect and you control a Cast Hero monster, you can target 3 cards in your opponent's graveyard and banish them face down, helping you control the grave. We then play 3 copies of Tenacity. Tenacity is definitely a 3-of in the deck to help you search out the exact Monarch spell or trap, because this card lets you reveal a monster in your hand with 2400 attack and 1000 defense, or 2800 attack and 1000 defense to add a Monarch spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is why we play the copy of Ogre in the build as well, because it does have those Monarch stats, so you can use it with cards like Tenacity, which is really nice. We then play 3 copies of Pantheism. Pantheism is one of the most broken cards in the entire game, because this card lets you send a Monarch spell or trap from your hand to the grave to draw 2 cards, and then you can banish this card in the graveyard to reveal 3 Monarch spells or traps in your deck, and your opponent chooses 1 to add to your hand, and you shovel the rest back in the deck, which is an awesome fact. You can actually reveal 3 copies of Tenacity, and then just grab the exact card you wanted anyways, because Tenacity will search out the cards you want. But this card is insane that it gives you a draw 2 and a search, which is really insane, and it is a once per turn for that last effect. We then also play 3 copies of the Monarch Stormforth. Stormforth is definitely a 3-of in the build and helps out a lot overall because it lets you tribute an opponent's monster to summon out your card, which is really cool to be able to do. Another card that I did consider playing in the deck, but I didn't, was copies of Soul Exchange. Spell card Soul Exchange, you can play that card in the deck as well, but I just couldn't find the room, and with this card being searchable in the deck, I decided not to play it in this build because Stormforth is searchable and that card isn't. And this card has the ability once during this turn, if you would tribute summon a monster for a tribute summon, you can actually tribute a monster your opponent controls as if you controlled it, which is a pretty cool effect to instantly just tribute one of your opponent's monsters to summon out your boss monster. We then also play 3 copies of Domain of the True Monarchs. Domain is definitely a 3-of in the deck because this card has the ability while you have no cards in your extract and the only player that controls a tribute summon monster is you, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extract, basically locking down your opponent from summoning from the extract, which is absolutely crazy. Also, if you tribute summon or if a tribute summon monster you control attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 800 attack during damage calculation only and once per turn, you reduce the level of 1 monster 2800 attack and 1000 defense in your hand by 2 until the end of the turn, basically reducing your big monarchs like Aether and Erebus down to level 6, so you only have to tribute 1 monster for their summon instead of 2, which is pretty interesting. So we can actually summon them out to our side of the field by just basically using one of our cash tier monsters. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 1, and that's going to be a single copy of the Prime Monarch. Prime Monarch is a really good 1-of in the deck, but I feel like with this particular build, you only need a single copy. This card is really once per turn, you can target 2 Monarch spells or traps in your graveyard, shuffle in the deck, and then draw a card. And also, if this card's in the graveyard, you can banish one of their Monarch spell or trap from the grave, special summon this card in Defense Solution as a normal monster that's a very light, level 5, 1000 attack, 2400 defense, and it is not treated as a trap card, basically getting you a monster out on your side of the field. But your copy of your Erebus and your Aether will send this card from deck to graveyard, so I feel like 1 copy is really all you need in the deck to be able to summon out to your side of the field, and it's a great card to be able to play in the deck, but 1 is all you need. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoy it. We don't play an extra deck with this deck at all because the Monarchs don't want an extra deck. So it's really cheap to be able to pick up the deck, which is nice to be able to basically just play a deck without an extra deck. And it's super fun to be able to play. So that's going to be this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and there's soon come part of Notification Squad. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.